Hello, we're here at Middleton Railway. It's the world's oldest working railway. Let's go and have a look inside.
During the 18th century, there was more and more coal being mined in Britain to feed the fires and the factories of the London and the Industrial Revolution. And Middleton Railway, in the middle of the 18th century, had a wooden trackway, which was quite revolutionary for its time. And along this trackway, from Middleton Park, where the coal is found, to get the coal down to the factories of Leeds. This is when the canvas was being made in the factories at Marshall's factories in Leeds, and down to the households. So how do you do that? Well, they had a wooden trackway where the coal was pulled in wagons one at a time by a horse led by some young fella, which was fine from 1750 up until the war started with the French, with the Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. And as the war went on, the British Army got bigger and bigger and bigger and was fighting Napoleon on land in Spain. It wasn't just a naval war, it was a land war. And of course the Duke of Wellington wanted all the horses in the country to pull the ammunition, to pull the cannons, to pull the supplies and all the rest of it. So all the horses were being taken out of the country. For Middleton, this was a problem. This was the great crisis of horse traction. How do you run a railway, moving the coal? No horses, no forces to feed the horses on, all the people who could look after horses, the hostlers and farriers and stuff, they were all in the army, right? What are you going to do? So there was an idea in circulation that had been tried and not found very successful by other engineers, Richard Trevithick and so forth. So Matthew Murray, who owned an engineering workshop in Leeds, and John Blenkinsop, who was the manager of the mine, they decided they would try a wacky new idea, which was a steam locomotive. And they built the world's first steam locomotive, which ran successfully in the whole world, and it ran in June 1812. That was the Salamanca. A set were built. There were 4 locomotives built, but the Salamanca was the one that solved this problem of horse traction of 1812.
In 1812, the first commercially operated steam engine was built by Matthew Murray, using John Blenkinsop's patented design for rack propulsion on the railway, using a large cogwheel to drive the engine forward. This is a replica cogwheel of the John Blenkinsop original. This was given as a gift to the Middleton Railway to celebrate the 200th anniversary. What a brilliant piece of engineering. I'm on board the Henry de Lacy 2, and this particular engine was built in 1917 and spent its life shunting at Kirkstall Forge, just on the other side of Leeds.
Railways, as you know, the gauge of a railway is called standard gauge. It's actually 4 foot 8.5 apart. But what you might not know is how that was arrived at. And put simply, it's the width of a horse's backside. In those days, you didn't have the sleepers that you have today, the ones that go across. There were big stone blocks, and they went parallel, and the rails were laid on top. So the horse, if you imagine the horse was me, would be in the middle. So the rails had to be far enough apart to allow the horse to walk in the middle. And roughly that's about 5 foot, give or take. George Stephenson had more railways than anybody else, and he chose 4 foot 8.5, because that was presumably the average width of the horses in that area on the wagons. And so that was how you got your standard gauge. In 1812, we had 4 steam engines here. 4 went up to Newcastle, a couple went to Lancashire. We even sent some to Germany. But unfortunately for us, the Germans at that time didn't have Vorsprung technique, and they couldn't get them to work. One of the engines we have is just down the way there, called Henry de Lacy. Henry de Lacy was an important man. He was actually a Baron of Pontefract in the Middle Ages. Now that was fine, but like all barons of that time, there's nothing like better than going out, doing a bit of fighting with the Crusades and things like that, what they used to call a bit of rape and pillage. The problem was that in those days, they were very religious, so he needed a line into God. And his line into God was he gave a large sum of money to some Cistercian monks. What's that got to do with us? Those monks founded Kirkstall Abbey, and it was Kirkstall Abbey and Kirkstall Forge that were taken as the 2 things that actually started up the town and then eventually the city of Leeds. Henry himself there, he was built in Leeds in 1917, never left the city on all the time it's been around. Built in Leeds, worked in Leeds, and now preserved, as you see, in good condition here.
This is the headquarters of the Hunslet Engine Company, established in 1864. These are the last few remaining lines that run into the entrance of the Hunslet Engine Company yard. From Pottery Lane here, just off Jack Lane, these lines run continuously all the way through to the Barn Road junction where the Middleton Railway now stands.
Well, my name's Mike McPeak. I've been involved in the Middleton Railway for nigh on 25 years now. I work on other railways, but I do enjoy the Middleton. There's something about it. It's a friendly little railway. It's an interesting place. We've got little engines. It's only a short line, but there's quite a lot to do.
Hi there, I'm Sam, 25-year-old working at Middleton Railway. At the moment I'm a cleaner, but I'm hoping to progress on to being a fireman and then hopefully after that become a driver. I love them. I just think just getting involved and trying to keep something that's old-fashioned alive. You know, it's quite a dying thing in its steam, and just try to keep it alive. And I just think they're brilliant. Just dirty and just, you don't get it. All kids nowadays just want iPads and Xbox. You can get on these, they're fantastic.
The Middleton Railway is operated by passionate, dedicated volunteers to keep the railway and the locomotives running for the enjoyment of the general public, young and old, and keep the title of the world's oldest working railway.